Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles presented by Easton Roofing. The Rush brothers are, by many accounts, the first family of Kansas City basketball, all very accomplished, all players who at a young age became stars, traveling the country about with their basketball careers budding. Jerron would head to UCLA and achieve stardom. Kareem, the younger brother, just 18 months the junior of Jerron, would eventually take his own path and start at the University of Missouri. And, of course, Brandon would become a Kansas basketball player, NCAA champion, and eventual NBA champion. Their stories had many twists and turns. Some of the things that were expected did not come to realization. But through it all, Kareem had a rather steady hand and a keen eye on his future and the way he wanted to conduct things and advance in his basketball and his real life, as it were. An interesting conversation with Kareem Rush, certainly somebody who had to be in the footsteps of somebody who was a budding legend in the Kansas City area in basketball, but eventually found his own way, and to this day is trying to find his own way, and generally successfully so. It's a fun story, it's a great conversation, and it comes your way next, right here on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing. We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters.
Before you spend your time and money going after an MBA, ask yourself why. Is it so you can tell people you got your MBA? So you can add a line to your CV? So you can call it a CV instead of a resume? Truth is, any MBA will do that. On the other hand, if your goal is to learn how to successfully manage and grow a business with real-world insights from experienced professionals, well, consider getting your MBA from Park University. Our low student-to-teacher ratio gives you personalized attention, and our face-to-face and online classes offered in 8-week terms are designed with working professionals like you in mind. No wonder the Kansas City Business Journal ranks Park University as the top MBA program in the area. Classes begin June 10th at all 4 KC area locations: Parkville, Downtown, Independence, and Lenexa. Visit park.edu to get started.
I was duped, and I recommend you be next. For better or worse, the ultra-realistic impression of me sits now in my wife's office to spook her on a daily basis. So what is Doob? D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations. Visit their location down on the plaza in the heart of it at 231 West 47th Street in KC Mo. Doob, be next. Kareem, if there's a royal family of basketball in Kansas City, I would say it's the Rushes and the Rush brothers. And you're the guy in the middle.
I'm the middle.
I'm the middle. You're the middleman.
Yep.
And so what was it like to be the middleman? But I'm more interested in starting off with the middle boy and your youth. Obviously, you grew up in a home with your father not there.
Yeah.
And your mom raised you, and your grandmother was a big influence. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I hear people say when they grow up under difficult circumstances or maybe in an underprivileged area that they don't really recognize it when they're growing up. They just know that they were a happy kid or whatever. Were you aware of your surroundings and the fact that you didn't have what maybe a lot of other people did?
Not initially. I think once I started kind of seeing the difference there is when I went to Pembroke Hill in 7th grade and kind of seeing the two dynamics of, growing up here in the city and then being friends with some of the most influential, high schoolers in town. So kind of getting that different dynamic there was when I first, kind of noticed. But at that point, I was, laser focused on, getting to the NBA to relieve my current situation. So that was always, a motivating factor going to Pembroke and kind of seeing, what was possible. You did the right things.
So as soon as early as 6th, 7th grade, you had NBA dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, probably even earlier. I remember vividly playing in the Boys and Girls Club on 23rd Street and, kind of following my brother Jerron in there and kind of falling in love with the game. Jerron was such a phenom at an early age that, it was set in stone that Jerron was going to be an NBA player. So I figured that, if I can be as good as him, then, I have my shot. So that gave me that kind of role model to kind of shoot for, early on. And then, we fell in love, started playing AAU ball. And, by the time we were, 10 or 11, we were traveling, pretty much all year long playing basketball. So it became, kind of, what I was looking to do, for my career.
You're only 18 months, Jerron's junior. Mm-hmm. But he was a phenom. He was somebody who was kind of the man.
Yep.
And you were obviously a fine basketball player, but you were younger than him. I know you've said you sort of felt like you were in the shadow of him a little bit. What was that like from an early age to have somebody who was sort of a rock star who was your older brother too?
Yeah, I mean, it had his pros and his cons. Obviously as a younger brother, you're proud of having that person in your household. Somebody you can see every day that you can gauge yourself against. But it was also challenging because, it was hard for me to kind of break out of that shell, for, all the way up until my senior year. I was always Jerron's little brother. So that forced me, that finally that senior year to kind of break out of my shell, which up to that point, I was probably set on going to UCLA and following him there because our main goal was to be kind of old band and brothers 2.0. So right. I've always envisioned us playing together in college. But that senior year, like I said, I got a chance to, step out on my own, gain a lot of credibility, for the success we had at Pembroke and won our third state championship. So that was when I decided to kind of make the shift and, try to do my own thing. Quinn Snyder came in there and blew me away. With the recruitment trip, and the rest is history.
Talk a little bit about maybe the culture shock when you first went to Pembroke as a person who was only 10 or 11 years old at that point in time, or 12, and most of the people there are extremely well-to-do.
Yeah.
And what was that like for you?
It wasn't hard. It was more to just having envy that I wanted to have some of those things. But like I said, that was an internal fire that started right there. So I was like, okay, yeah, I want to, be able to take care of my family, have, these same type of things in my life as well. So initially, I mean, it wasn't too much of a culture shock. We played AAU ball, so it was always a mention of of people. So there wasn't too much of a different dynamic there going to an all-white school coming from a majority black school. But I did have my fights in 7th grade, like most kids do. But a lot of those kids, to this day, are still my good friends. We just recently had our 20-year high school reunion a couple weeks ago. So being able to come back and see those guys 20 years later was definitely a great moment. So Pembroke, all in all, was a very, very great experience.
What was it like being one of the few, if hardly any, black people in Pembroke?
Like I said, it was just kind of what it was. So you kind of got accustomed to it. It wasn't, everybody was cool. All the families were really cool. Like I said, my girlfriend at the time, she was a white Jewish girl that we dated all 4 years in college. Her family accepted me completely, her grandparents. So I was, all my friends. So like I said, it was a great time. Like I said, I think it was culturally, it was definitely a huge step forward for me. Probably if I didn't go to Pembroke, I probably wouldn't end up going to Central. But Pembroke showed me not only, the cultural deal, but also the educational side of things. And a lot of those people, my friends, their fathers, were kind of secondary fathers for me. So I got a chance to kind of see, what father figures were like, growing up.
You had a lot of assistance through the years, obviously, some of it well chronicled that would be outside the parameters of what was expected by the NCAA, per se, looking forward. Did you just see it as part of the regular culture that you were with in the AAU and weren't really thinking down the line or thinking that, hey, I shouldn't be doing some of these things, which now are pretty much going to become to be accepted?
Yeah.
But what was your thought process when maybe somebody would give you something nice or let you stay at his house?
Back then, like I said, we were needy kids. We were traveling pretty much all year round, so we were going on AAU trips. We didn't want to bother our mother for money. Our coach at the time, Myron Piggy, because of the success of our teams and the high-profile players that we had, he was able to secure a Nike deal, a Nike sponsorship. So he was receiving income, based on who we were, So it wasn't like, okay, we had a good game, he's going to give us a certain amount of money. You had 30 points, so you get this amount of money. It was like, yo, we on the road, we need some money. Here you go, you guys. We got this for you guys. Take care of us. So, at 17, you didn't think you were doing anything wrong. But I still don't think I was doing anything wrong at this time. So I'm happy to see that this college sports is kind of catching up to what's right. But kids being able to make money off their likeness is like any other business and any enterprise. Kids should be able to do that.
Your brother maybe had a closer relationship, but Tom Grant was a big portion of part of his life, and in fact yours, but maybe more his. And and he did that for many underprivileged kids who weren't athletes, but some people saw it as a way, as a KU booster, to be directing players in that direction. What was your feeling in that relationship, as it were?
I love the Grants to this day. Tom has been a beacon of light for Duran, not only through high school, but up and still to this day. So him and Duran and their family are still close. Duran works out his grandkids. So that was not about basketball. That was about taking care of people that he loved. And Duran was one of those kids. And me as well as our whole AAU team that he sponsored. So Mr. Grant is nothing but a good guy. Obviously got caught up into some stuff that, somebody had to, had fault somewhere. So it's unfortunate that it happened. But all in all, I definitely think Mr. Grant has been a good person in our lives.
You mentioned that you sort of felt the urge or the necessity to, at some point, to break out of the shadow of your brother, and you won the championship on a team that he wasn't on Pembroke Hill, the state championship. Is that when it sort of turned for you, and maybe you felt that you were creating your own path? And is that really what led to you not deciding to be O'Bannon 2.0?
I mean, my high school quote was like, "No, I'm Kareem," because I got so tired of people saying, Duran's little brother. And the senior year is definitely a turning point. I got a chance to star. I got the Gatorade player of the state. So I got my own recognition. So I wanted to kind of extend that. Like I said, I didn't want to go to KU. I thought I was maybe going to Duke. Like I said, Quinn Snyder came in there and really made an impression on me. We shared the same birthday. He allowed me to have the driver's seat, for the school. Told me to come in and do my thing. And like I said, I went down there and enjoyed my time there immensely.
Well, you were obviously an incredible player there, and I just want to talk a little from the basketball standpoint. What do you think it is about a left-handed shooter that looks so smooth? Probably if you switch the camera and made you right-handed, it kind of looks the same as what a right-handed player would look like, and nobody thinks of it as that smooth. But there's something about a lefty when he's shooting the basketball that makes it look cool.
I think it's only like I think it's 10 to 15% of players are left-handed, or maybe even smaller. I think it looks different, and that's it. And I was blessed to be left-handed. So they say more left-handed people are more creative, so that's definitely played a part in my life post-basketball. But being a lefty, it just definitely has an advantage in sports because, like I said, the majority of people are right-handed.
It is. I'm left-handed. You might be shocked by looking at me, but I did play basketball, and for a while, when you're playing against somebody, even if they know it throws them off, doesn't it? Yeah,
it is because you're so used to going a certain way with right-handed people that even if you prep for it, you really got to really focus on it. And I found out the only people who can really guard lefties are the lefties. So going against Ginobili and James Harden and those guys throughout my career, you can kind of see they had the same type moves. But like I said, it's definitely a blessing to be left-handed in the game of basketball, in all sports.
You had great teams at Missouri, too, and you'd eventually run into some roadblocks. Great Oklahoma team, a great Duke team. You scored 29 points in your final game in the NCAA tournament. Just talk about your experience with Quinn and that personal relationship. I know maybe it's strengthened during your suspension for the reasons we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I mean, Quinn, like I said, from the jump, he came and visited me at my grandma's house. I started learning a little bit more. I was a huge fan of Duke. So I thought Duke could be a location for me, go to college. Duke or UConn. But then he came in and got the job and offered me the chance to go out there and be who I was and be one of the stars of the team. And I don't think he knew I was going to be as good early on. But after that 9-game suspension, I came back a different player, different focus. I was a lot hungrier. And he allowed me to kind of run with that and become who I am. His sophomore year was a great year. Obviously losing to Duke, it was kind of like the game that put me on the map with the cast on my hand. And then our junior year, I thought we were poised with preseason top 2. So I was looking to kind of be, make it to the Final Four, something that Mizzou's never done. So that's why I decided to come back my junior year. It didn't work out, but we got close. We got close. If Clarence would have had just a little better game, would have been good. His system hit a couple free throws, would have been good. But we had a hell of a run that last year.
You did. I remember exactly where it was when that game was played. I was covering Kansas like I usually did that year, and I was in Madison, Wisconsin. And the game was in the afternoon, and Kansas was playing at night, so I watched the entire game. There were actually a lot of Missouri fans there, a lot of Oklahoma fans there, because they were paying attention to this game, even though they weren't there. So I do have a vivid memory of that. And so you decide to come back to your junior year and try to make the Final Four, which you just got the cusp of. But you must have been pretty much set on the fact that the junior year,
that was it.
That was going to be
That was it. I mean, I got so many people that wanted me to leave my sophomore year, and I thought about it. But like I said, those goals to take Missouri where it's never been before and get Player of the Year, especially based off that last game, I thought it was a good opportunity for me to come back and do, achieve those goals. And like I said, we got close. We had a decent year my junior year, but then I knew that was definitely it. After the loss, I was like, yeah, this is it.
What was your experience away from basketball at Mizzou? Subsequently to the time you were there, Missouri came under a lot of scrutiny as not being that welcoming a place for African-American students.
Yeah.
Did you see any of that or sense any of that? And is that something that you just think has improved or it just got worse from the time that you were there post to that?
Yeah, they were definitely – yeah, we definitely heard about it as players, but obviously being athletes, you kind of insulated from that type of deal. You're the stars of the campus, so you never really see that. But I definitely really remember, some of the black fraternities definitely doing protests and all that type of stuff. So we was definitely aware of it. I think it's gotten better. Obviously that as a school with a lot of black kids, they should definitely work on improving those areas, and I think they have. So. Like I said, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what Kwanzaa does down there. I think he's a great leader. Really need to get the school back where it needs to be basketball-wise, and I think he's the guy to do it.
So you decide it's rock solid, you're going to go, and then as you're coming out, you had one of those slightly squeamish draft nights.
Yeah.
I mean, you ended up being a 20th pick, but you were expected to go quite a bit higher.
Yeah.
What was that evening like for you?
It was awful. I mean, this is kind of the pinnacle of your career, and I was told prior to in the draft that I wasn't stuck below 14. Indiana brought me in twice and told me that if I was there, they was going to draft me. I was slotted to go between 10 to 14. So that's what I was anticipating. Got there, and the one wrinkle of the whole entire draft was my position. Nobody anticipated Fred Jones going in the first round. None of the projection had him there. But I come to find out that Isaiah Thomas just got the new job, and the front office wanted me. He wanted Fred Jones, so to show commitment to him, they decided to go with him. So I slipped to the 20, which is still not bad, but obviously some place that I wanted to be. And then, like I said, I was upset. Didn't know anything about Canada.
Sure, you didn't have to play there.
Like, oh my God, this is crazy. What? And then on the way back home in the limo to the hotel, we got the call and said I was traded to the Lakers. So. Obviously, the night shifted at that point, and this coming off three-peat. So I was like, I'm walking right into a championship atmosphere. Even though looking back, I wish I went someplace else. Cause I had to play behind Kobe.
Right.
I could have had a better opportunity to play someplace else. But at the end of the day, Lakers was an amazing time. Still close to the organization to this day. So it is what it is.
It's so commonplace in the NBA for those draft night trades to be made. And so it's almost farcical when you walk up there, you put on a Raptors hat, and and you're not going to be a Raptor for more than an hour.
You may get traded.
Right. That's a little weird. So you talked about the mixed blessing of going to the Lakers, that the opportunity to play obviously isn't going to be as strong, but you are in a great environment, and you're in L.A. too.
Yeah.
If you're a Laker, even if you're not playing a lot, but you played, significant minutes. You were out there playing. What is that spotlight like? I
mean, L.A. is L.A. Lakers are Lakers. Still to this day, I remember for playing with Mizzou and playing for the Lakers. I still get probably hit once a month. Oh, 6 threes, we love you. So that's why L.A. has always kind of been home, because I still have a fan base out there. And like I said, the time there was great. Looking back at it, I played significantly, my second year when Kobe was out dealing with the Colorado stuff. So I got a chance to really kind of showcase, what I could do. And lead into that third year, actually before all the trades went down, Phil was slotted to start me and Kobe the 2-3. So my third year, I would have been a starter, which would have been obviously a huge thing for me. But then, everything kind of went down with the trades, and Rudy T came in, and they had different thoughts on what the lineup should be. So that's when I decided to ask for a trade to go to Charlotte. So it was me who wanted out. But those things happen in the NBA, and I went to Charlotte and got a chance to start for a couple of years and really play a lot of minutes. And I played well in Charlotte.
How frustrating was it, however, that you did struggle with injuries?
I did
during your NBA career.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of one of those things. I mean, ended at 29 for me, which just get into my prime. Unfortunate situation happened with the Clippers, and end up getting waived after doing ACL microfracture. So I didn't have that day-to-day treatment that the guys need to make sure that they stand on pace to the right rehab. So fell short of that and never got a chance to make it back. But I enjoyed my 7 years pro. It provided a platform for me to launch other things post-career, which obviously said it's going to help me in the long run.
As you thrived at Mizzou and then through your time in the NBA, your brother was struggling.
Yeah.
And there were times when you two really went for significant periods without speaking to each other. I know your relationship has gotten better now. What were those times like when things were great for you and they were anything but for him?
Yeah, I mean, that was tough because I'm realizing my dreams. And if you look back 5 years from, prior to that, it wouldn't have been anybody in the world that thought Jerron would have been there, and I'm there. He was supposed to be the first one and had all the talent in the world. All his predecessors, all his guys that he played in the same draft class with, Corey Maggette, Baron Davis, Paul Pierce. Those guys will all tell you that Jerron was, right up there with them as far as talent-wise. And there's no reason why. He's probably one of the top players ever not to make the NBA as far as high school talents. So, kind of realizing my dream and seeing him, kind of sink further into his, his decline, was tough to deal with. My first couple of years, he was out in L.A. with me, living, was still, drinking and stuff. So it became an issue where the front office, had to make a choice. So you need to let your brother, get away from you. It's really affecting, what you're doing. So I had to make a tough choice to kind of let Jerron, go back to Kansas City. And it was hard. And, but I had to have the focus for my career and what I wanted. And couldn't really allow my brother's, mishaps and what he was going through to kind of bring me down. So, but it took a while. But, as brothers, you always kind of come back together. But now, we're closer than ever.
Did you see the mistakes he was making, and did it help you? Did it help you learn? Or
yeah, I mean, his only mistake is, I wouldn't say his mistake is he has a problem. He's in addiction,
right?
But that's been really the only thing that's been Jerron's a great guy. Everybody loves him, but he has an addiction, and hasn't found the way to get the right help to kind of help him, to deal with it. But it's been the number one factor of him not realizing his goals. So that definitely steered me away from alcohol. I don't drink as much. I don't go out as much because I know what it does. I've seen that before. So
right,
you learn from your brother's mistakes, and I made mistakes along the way, and I'm sure Brandon's learned from some of mine.
Right.
So it's just kind of building those family things.
What was the dynamic with Brandon? You two guys were so close in age. Brandon's fairly significantly younger than the two of you. What's that relationship? And when it was around Brandon a lot when he was at Kansas, he's a pretty reserved guy, at least on the surface. You think part of that was the fact that he had really famous brothers? Yeah,
I'm sure it was tough for him to kind of grow up in our shadow. Didn't know Brandon was even good at basketball until he was about 13. Like I said, we had that 5-year gap. So I'm in college, and he's coming up the ranks. I'm hearing more about him. He's getting better and better. And then I started seeing him. I'm like, oh, wow, this guy is really getting good. So that 5-year gap, he didn't really get a chance to grow up with us because by the time, like I said, we were 9. Right. We were traveling all over the place. He mostly grew up with my grandma and my younger cousin, so they're really close to one another. But over the course of the last few years, as we got older, we got a lot closer. But he's definitely, I'm definitely close with Jerron.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this. For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code ClinkScale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape.
There's no need to get a case of the Mondays every week, not during football season anyway. Hey, this is Matt Llewellyn from the 23rd Street Brewery, and we are the place for Monday Night Football. Food and drink specials every week, and all new televisions always at 23rd Street Brewery. The hardest thing about Mondays now will be getting through the workday, although waking up on Tuesdays might be a little bit tough. But remember, watch all the Chiefs games, NFL games, every game at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Sumner One is the company to make your office maximize efficiency. Their family of companies make up one of the largest independent dealers of office technology in the Midwest. They are proud to bring the best service and technology to top companies across the region. Sumner One can help your organization run more smoothly than ever. Sumner One printers, copiers, MFPs, managed print services, document management, infrastructure design, IT services, disaster recovery, and business continuity. Welcome to the one place where everything works. For more information, call Carl Little at 913-752-2256. We're speaking with Kareem Rush, obviously a longtime NBA player, Missouri star, and one of the great stars of recent Missouri basketball. And he's joining us on Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing, right here on Danny Clinkscale's Reasonably Irreverent Commentary. Talk a little bit about your mother and your grandmother. They obviously had a difficult chore in many ways, and then their babies would be going off and traveling around the country, but they still obviously wanted to try and keep you on the straight and narrow and things like that. What were those relationships like?
Mom was great. She worked. I don't know how she managed to keep us fed. 3 boys. Growing boys. But she did everything she could. Grandma was there to support when needed. Like I said, we basically grew up with, my mom, grandma, my uncle, and my aunt. Kind of our immediate family. Then we had, obviously our basketball side. I had a great mentor growing up. My first AAU coach, Lafayette Norwood. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of my father figure. And Jerron was out doing this thing. So, Mom was there. They didn't really know we were really good until like 13. They started hearing stories about, who's these 8th grade kids dunking the basketball? And my grandma come to find out it was Jerron they were talking about. So, but now my grandma's a huge sports fan. She never missed any games. She was really supportive. They was our rocks.
You mentioned setting a platform for yourself. Your NBA career was satisfying, but maybe there was some things left on the table due to injury and opportunity and things like that. What was the transition out of basketball like for you? How difficult was it?
It was awful. I was transitioning because of an injury, not because I wanted to leave. And
right.
I know I had so much more left on the table because prior to the injury, had a crazy man. I was the 4th team guy invited to the Clippers game. wasn't expected to make it. Ended up making it. By the time the 5th game came around, I was breaking the starting lineup. So I was on the cusp of having my best year, and then all of a sudden I go down with an injury. And then all of a sudden the wave thing happened. So it was tough going through that stuff. I think 18 months is what I'm looking at from a kind of a full recovery from ACL microfracture. So that's when I started developing, the other things that my other passions. Mm-hmm. The first thing was music. I've been a singer all my life prior to basketball. Anybody knows me knows that, singing's been a huge part of what I've done. And it was no surprise to them that I decided to kind of turn it into a career. So we still had a name in L.A., so started reaching out to a few contacts, got in touch with some music people. They wanted to do a demo deal to kind of see what I sounded like. Got into the studio for the first time, actually killed it. And then it was like, this song, we can actually push it out as a single. So decided to say, okay, take it from this something to pass the time to actually making the career, hired a whole entire staff, like 7 people from Interscope, and started really kind of pushing the music. My first song did really well, Billboard charter. I toured around the country, doing shows here and there, but I always envisioned getting back to basketball. That was always the plan. Okay, I'm gonna be like the first NBA R&B superstar was always the plan. So back in my mind, okay, I'm always kind of trained to get back in basketball. So 2013 is when I tried to kind of come back with the D League, just the need and really what it was. And then that was kind of the end of basketball. And that was a tough decision, but it was what it was. And luckily, I had other things that I started working on that can kind of take me away from just kind of the separation. From being something that you've always been. I've always been known as a basketball player. So I had it taken away from you. I mean, I understand how guys really struggle with that. But at that point, everybody in the NBA knew that I was trying to do the singing thing. So it's like, oh, that's cool. Like you really made the transition really smoothly.
Athletes want to be singers. And singers want to be athletes.
It was like, you really did it. So a lot of guys knew I was supporting my music, and that was cool. But like I said, I always, had other interests and started kind of diving into other businesses. And, initially I was kind of a reserved introvert, having that basketball side of me stripped away from me. People don't really care. I mean, it may open some doors, but you got to go out there and show that you're competent in things that you're doing. So start taking every single meeting, start reading, start really kind of figuring out what was going to be next for me. And that was kind of being a creative. I come to find out I have tons of good ideas. I got tons of resources and a wide network to make things happen. And that's kind of started the whole kickstart of my whole business entrepreneurial side.
So you're an R&B singer.
R&B.
Most people maybe of your generation might have looked in the area of rap. What was your passion for R&B?
Just always been a singer. I remember singing in high school choir, singing Boys to Men and all that stuff to girls in high school. So rapping, I mean, I can rap a little bit just because I'm musical, but singing, you can't really fake that. You can have other people write your lyrics and all that stuff, but to actually be able to sing live and command a stage, that's what draws me. And like I said, if I close my eyes and I picture the thing that I want most, it would be up on the stage singing as opposed to playing basketball.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool thing. My wife's a singer, so I know the passion that is involved in that as well. But the music business is challenging.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned you charted with a single, but that's no guarantee of eventual success, right? And nowadays, you really have to. Selling records isn't what makes you money. It's concerts that make you money. So talk about the struggles of the music industry.
I come to find. I found that firsthand how shady the music business, which got me out of it initially. Like I said, I ended up spending a couple $100,000 kind of breaking myself as an artist, which is standard back then. It's not as popular with social media these days where you got the SoundCloud and you got the Spotify. Back then it was you got to get radio, and so you're paying all these DJs that people don't know. All these record stations are paying these DJs to play these records. That's why you hear them constantly, because they're paying these people, or they own the record label, or they own the record stations. So breaking yourself as an artist is very expensive. And obviously being an NBA player, people attach having money to my name, so I was probably getting hoes with some price here and there from some big name producers where I was getting records from. So I come to learn firsthand how it operated, and that's why I kind of turned my back on it around 2013. I said I'm not spending any more money. I'm not making any money here. I love it, but I'm not spending more money on it. So I stopped kind of pursuing it as a career. Then that's why now I'm looking for kind of something similar to The Voice. I'm gonna do The Voice. Here in January. It's kind of like a easy launching platform with a backstory, being a former athlete. They eat that stuff up. So that's what I'm going to do music-wise.
So you are going to do that?
Yeah. I did The Voice 3 months ago, 3 or 4 months ago. I was actually in San Francisco, and they always send me these emails, and I happened to be in town at the same time. I was like, let me try it. And so I went to one of those huge open auditions.
Right.
Didn't know what the setup is. Got into our group, and unfortunately, I was the first person to sing in our group, so I didn't get a chance to see somebody before me. So I got up there and sang an original song. I killed it. And then they had me sing another popular song, which I knew kind of well, but not as well as I've been practicing Sam Smith or Maxwell for the last 2 months. So I should have been like, let me sing something like that. But I said, oh, yeah, I know it. And I didn't really sing it that well as I could. So afterwards, she's like, come back, sing a popular song, get right to it. You got a good voice, and you should be fine. So, and then the problem was in San Francisco, I jumped on the last leg of the tour. So people were just kind of going from city to city, auditioning. So they opened back up in January, and I'm gonna try it out again.
Well, good luck to you with that. You also have had a great interest in fashion.
Yes,
and have at one time or another had a line
still
of
do.
clothing,
yeah,
line of clothing, and it's one thing that's great for most basketball players is they have the perfect frame for wearing clothes.
Yes.
I mean, and so you can really test it out on yourself and see what the best looking guys at the American Century Golf Tournament in golf wear were always the athletes.
Yep.
I mean, the basketball players. Where did your passion for fashion come?
Just through time in the league, kind of being, as I got known, I started off with the baggy stuff, and then just slowly but surely, I started getting more and more tailored and fell in love with, with suits specifically. And, started doing suits probably, it's almost 6 years ago. And then kind of grown it until now what it is today is I got a full line of my own theme products. I got dress shoes, tennis shoes. Like I said, I do custom suits. And I got a bunch of men's essential products, so sofas and TVs and game. And then you can think of the Amazon of men's essentials. It's thegentlemanbrand.com. So been doing that for the last 5 years. Love it. It's going to continue to grow. And it's really about my personal taste. And as my brand grows and more visibility, and people can kind of see that as well.
The Gentleman Brand is what it's called, and your style is described as clean and simple. Is that correct? Is that what you're aiming for? And why does that appeal to you? I
don't like a really loud deal. I'm very reserved, but there's nothing like a nice classic suit. I might do some color variations there, but a stylish suit I think is the best thing a guy can wear.
I tend to agree with you. Through your entire adult life, you've had relationships, obviously, but you've never been married. You do have a couple of daughters, and we'll talk about them in a minute. When you're an NBA player, it would seem that for some people that seems, that's great. All these women are going to want to be with you, but do they want to be with you because of the NBA lifestyle or because of you? Is that a challenge when you're trying to develop relationships?
Yeah, but when I was in NBA, I got about 29, so I was still in the mode where I'm not trying to settle down. So
right.
I was hoping girls not looking for me as a husband. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm great. But now, at my age now, almost 40, obviously I would like to have something serious. I want more kids. But I don't want to have a situation where like I am now, we're not living with my children. So very picky. I don't settle. So it makes me locking me down very, very challenging. But I've had a few long-term relationships that were close to marriage, and it's never really got there because at the end of the day, I'm completely happy being by myself and focusing on what I need to get done. And if the right person comes along, it won't be hard. It wouldn't be something that I need to think of. It just naturally happen.
There are stories out there during your time around Quinn Snyder when he would try to stay in touch with you because you would kind of what we might call ghost, or you just kind of like your own company, which I totally identify with that. I'm a big fan of my own time.
Yeah.
But what piece of your personality do you think makes being alone appealing?
Oh, I love it. It gets me in my thoughts. I get a chance to read. I get the chance to, sit down and kind of craft ideas in my head. Big doodler, big, visualizing guy. So putting all these different things together, takes time. And, people are energy drainers sometimes. So I like to be in the comfort of my own self. I'm completely happy being with myself. And it allows me to just get focused and get a lot of things done and be efficient.
Tell me about your daughters. They live in Columbia. They're now getting to be teenagers. Actually, they're kind of at the age where if you're around them a lot, they don't care about dad much anymore. But they're 14 and 11. You must have a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, dad's still cool right now because I'm doing so many different things. They still think dad is cool because of my Instagram and stuff. So I'm still cool in their eyes. But yeah, oldest started high school this year, 9th grade. Youngest is in 6th. Love volleyball. Great girls. Super sweet. But like I said, their mom is awesome. We've made it work. Obviously, it's always challenging, getting to, a nice place with your ex. Been when the kids are involved, but we've worked hard to kind of get where we are. So it's great.
They are not a long way away, but it is a significant distance for you. I was in a similar situation. I didn't raise my daughters. They're about the same difference in age as well. You try your best, but sometimes you just don't feel like you're doing enough.
Yeah, it definitely sucks. I definitely have those moments where you hate missing out on things. Even if you can, even today's age, you can FaceTime and still see them. But being there to physically touch them and hold them, it definitely has those moments where it's tough. But at the end of the day, you kind of do what you need to do to keep pushing forward and make sure you can provide for them and give them the life they deserve. And so that's what I focus on.
You seem to be in a very good place and have things that motivate you and drive you forward.
Yeah.
What do you see the future for Kareem Rush being?
Just continue to push my passions and try to help as many people as I can through my nonprofit. The ultimate goal is always to get back and spend the majority of my time doing that. But have the financial freedom to do that. Is what I'm building towards. So kind of creating these different things that I think can help not only myself but help my family. Provide opportunities for young people. But like I said, the end goal is to eventually be able to retire and give back 100% of the time. Just hustling every day and one step forward on a lot of different fronts. From the ABL League to to my Water Warriors, floaties to my Gentleman brand to The Voice. Just trying to get 1% better every day as something.
Well, the other part, and as before we close, you say you put yourself in a position where you have the ability to do these things. I mean, you played 7 years in the NBA and you made good money, but you didn't make generational money. You obviously did a good job with that. That's not always the case.
Yeah.
What do you think was it about you that allowed you to be responsible and keep yourself in a position where you're at today?
Yeah, I've made my mistakes. I wasted a lot of money. Even coming out, I've wasted money. And I've been in situations where it has been tough financially. But luckily, I've been able to, find other revenue models that, can kind of get me back to where I never made that huge contract. I think so if that would have been a different case if I had that. But, my post-career has been, it's been a lot of hard work. Right. It hasn't been, okay, I'm sunny, chilling in retirement, sitting on $40 million. Like, nah, it's like, okay, well, you got a little bit of money, said that you got a nice 401k, you got a nice pension plan, but you can't get that till 50. So
right.
Up until then, you gotta hustle. So that's been, I apply the same work ethic that it took me to get to the NBA. I didn't make the NBA overnight. It took me 20 years to get there. It took me from age 9 all the way up until, well, I would say I got drafted at 22. So 13 years of hard work. So
right.
Starting out these new businesses, I don't get caught up in, the immediate success. I got the long play. But like I said, I got tons of resources and networks to kind of help facilitate and push out my products. So just kind of keeping everything in line and like I said, and moving forward.
It's really been a pleasure. I've been around you, but I haven't gotten to know you through the years. And your story is really kind of an inspiring one. You've had challenges and seen the other side of it in your family and things like that. Really seems like you're in a good place.
Thank you. Pleasure.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Kling Scale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.